What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Flailing Forward podcast, where we talk about taking action, even though you may feel like you're out there floundering and not knowing what you're doing, because looking back at lessons learned, you often find that you're moving forward. I'm Dustin Seiler. I'm here with my co-host, Heather Witzig. Hey, Heather.
Hey, we should have called it Floundering Forward.
Ooh, floundering, flailing forward in a fictitious manner. This episode, as you may notice, we do not have a guest to interview with us. This is one of our Flailing Forward conversations where we talk about events going on, subjects that we'd like to talk about, and what we've learned and what our experience has been with them. Today, I don't think it's letting the cat out of the bag to let people know that we are both members of the Subto community. And so that's what we'd like to talk about today. Subto. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that. Pace Morby's community, Subto. For those of you who may not have found us through the Subto community, you can look that up. We'll talk a little bit more about what that is today. I think it's not a surprise or a spoiler to anybody to let them know that because we come from the Subto community, our views are mostly going to be positive on it. But I think we've both learned some lessons and had some experiences and some growing opportunities along the way.
Heck yeah.
So tell us Heather, how did you find Subto?
Well, I had been stalking Pace Morby's YouTube for approximately about a year before I never thought I would spend almost 10K on anything like this. It was not in my, the back of my mind. I was just like, no, it's fine. I don't pay for things like that, especially when you can get, I always said to myself, you can get the milk for free on, he's giving so much value on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else that like, what is he really going to teach us, or what is really going to be behind the curtain for 10K, right? And at the time it's cheaper than that, but I'm just saying round numbers. But it was just, I'd never paid for anything like that before. It was not something I was comfortable with, nor had the money for at the time either. It was just something that I desperately wanted. I wanted to be in real estate. I'd been educating myself with Bigger Pockets, for years, and then had finally bought a property traditionally the year before I got into Subto, and I was just hungry for more. I'd had a mentor that didn't really work out. It was more like a local mentor, that just wasn't quite up to snuff. And so I really I knew that I needed to be learning from somebody really amazing. And I just I really identify, with his personality, with just his realness, with, the things he was doing creatively. I am kind of a creative person, and I just kind of identified. And so one day I decided to take the plunge and pay the money and get in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? How'd you find?
Yeah, I'm similar.
Subto?
So I was purchasing properties traditionally and realized it was not scalable to come in with 20-25% down every time and try and have to go through the hassle of financing. And I was actually, as you find all infomercials in the middle of the night, sitting in your recliner, I was searching for ways to increase your income and so I could get more money to buy more properties. And I actually came across Gator Method first and started researching Gator. And we'll talk about that on another one of these episodes. And we'll go into the Gator program and what that is and our experience with that. But Gator led me to Subto. When I got into the Gator program, I started hearing about all these awesome, amazing things Pace was doing with Subto. And that's where I started learning more about that. I'd heard about Pace Morby on Bigger Pockets as well. I was a Bigger Pockets follower. I still listen to the podcast regularly and things. So I heard about Pace on there. But when I really started researching the community, it was very similar. I don't pay for mentorships. I don't pay for that kind of stuff. I figured the information's out there, and especially with him where he's given so much away. But when I got into Gator and heard him talk about the Subto community and the things that were happening in there, I knew I had to be a part of it. And so I jumped in very quickly, like within a few days after I got the Gator program. I wanted to be a part of the Subto community because of what had been built. And for those out there that may not know, that may have come from Pace's creative group. That's the free Facebook group that he has for people, or who may have found us through other means, Instagram, or however you found us. If you're not familiar with the Subto community, Pace Morby is a real estate investor. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He's an extreme visionary. And his main thing is creative finance, solving problems creatively, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in capital raising, whether it's in funding, whether it's in business. He's trying to solve problems, and he's coming up with creative ways to do that. And he has built a community around solving problems for sellers, for owners, etc. Is that a fair assessment, Heather?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so, I mean, both of us, it sounds like, jumped in, pretty quickly. We felt the power of the community and what it was, and we wanted to be a part of that. But I don't know about your experience. For me, it wasn't just smooth sailing right off the bat, getting all these deals thrown at you. Did you experience that?
And just to back up too, I joined Subto first, and then within a couple months, 2-3 months, he put out the Gator method for the first time, and so I dove into both pretty much at the same time as well. And honestly, I mean, I knew it was going to be, some people get deals, it sounded like other people were talking about getting deals, some of them within a month, within a few days, within a few weeks, some people, but there's a lot of, you just getting the reps in and not getting like your first deal or your first, whatever you're looking to do in there for 6 months or more. There were a lot of stories like that, which I don't think there's ever really anything that I never really got in there with like, I have to get a deal, in the first 30 days. Cause you just kind of have to, I just got in, bumped around a little, made a lot of connections, talked to a lot of people, started going down the path of some deals initially within the first few weeks to the first few months. They didn't end up panning out for one reason or another, but learning a lot from that and just really kind of snowballing my education and people I was looking to partner with, and seeing what was happening and just kind of learning, it just sort of, so by the time I actually made my first, dollar within Subto and Gator, it was probably around the 5 or 6 month mark. But then after that, it was just, gangbusters after that. So it was just, but it takes a bit of time sometimes to get in. And really, I was trying to find what I wanted to do. It wasn't necessarily, I didn't necessarily want to be a wholesaler, but I was like open to that that option, potentially. And I was open to maybe flipping something or, buy and holding something, and so it was just kind of, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for a few months, really. But in that meantime, I was actually doing a lot of talking to people and like figuring out where I could insert myself and creatively, do a deal somewhere.
Yeah. I think, I was trying to dispo a property when I first joined Subto. I had a property that I purchased here in Utah that I was trying to, I got it as a long-term rental, and I couldn't get renters in it. And so I was looking for a way to dispo that, and joining the Subto community within a week, I learned about lease options and wraps and things like that, which I had not been aware of before. And so it helped me dispo that property right away. And then desert, like nothing. Right. But, and this is one of the things I'll talk about, some of the difficulties that I had joining Subto and the things that I went through. And at the end of the day, what the point that I want to make is it was because of my own actions. So I went, after I dispoed that property, I went like dark on deals for 6 months or more. And you get in and you hear all these success stories, and people are doing deals within a week, and you've got these massive assignment fees and these huge 0 down 0% interest multifamily deals that are being done and moved. And what you don't realize is that a lot of those people either had put in a lot of work before joining Subto, or had put in a lot of work since joining Subto. And it's not an immediate, joining the community is not an immediate, here's your deals. Right.
Yeah,
people guaranteed. Are not just throwing deals at you when you walk through the community doors, so to speak. And one of my problems was I was not networking, and I was not reaching out to people like I should be. I was jumping on the Zooms. I was quiet in the Zooms. I wasn't talking to people. I was going through the modules. I was going through the videos in the vault. that are there, the training modules and things like that, and I wasn't taking action on them. I was doing a ton of education, analysis paralysis, not taking action. I was jumping on the nightly dials, which are calls that we do to kind of get reps in and learn to talk to people and learn to, be better communicators, essentially. And I would jump on there and I either wouldn't make calls, or I'd make calls just on there thinking that I wanted to be a wholesaler. And guys, I'm not a wholesaler. That's not my thing. I don't do that. That's not my strength. It's not what I want to do with my time. It's not what I'm passionate about. And I was trying to force myself into something that I wasn't passionate about. So my first 6 months plus in Subto were a little bit rough, where I wasn't doing anything. And when I look back on that, since we're flailing forward, right, the lesson I've learned from that is you've got to be active. You've got to take a role in the community. You've got to reach out and talk to people and network and know your avatar, know what you want to do, what you're passionate about, because not everything is for everybody.
Yeah.
You have to find what works for you and let people know what you need and what works for you and bring them value in return.
I think that's where our paths differ too, is because I very quickly, within a few weeks, I was starting to meet people out in the community locally and online, and just talking to, I didn't really know that I was networking necessarily. I know what networking is, but I wasn't necessarily, it was just kind of like, hey, I want to, talk to people, see what they're doing, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ended up being that. And then I was just talking to a local person that had a deal on the table that I was like, hey, did you think about doing a Morby method with it? I just heard Pace talk about it. Like, it was just something that was very new at the time, a year and a half ago. And I was like, maybe I think that might be a good, if I help you Morby method this, will you cut me into the deal? And he was like, sure. So I went ahead on the next Q&A call with Pace that next week and asked a question, kind of what I didn't know at the time. It sort of put me on the map a little bit with like talking to him, and then, getting to meet him a few weeks later at an event. He was like, he knew exactly who I was. And it was just really nice to have that kind of connection right away too. And he, on the call, when I was asking the question, he was like, let me get my ops manager, Molly Tennant, on there. Let me get, let me help you through this deal, and we can kind of, showcase it and whatever. And so it was really nice to kind of have somebody go, okay, here, let me help you with it. And that was exactly what I was looking for when I joined a mentorship, was being able to ask questions and getting, whether it's help from your mentor or other people that are leaders in the community. So I really inadvertently stumbled across doing those things when it was really, I wasn't intending on any of it. And it just kind of helped me make connections with key people in the community and with Pace and his team, and just kind of went from there and snowballed. And I just ended up starting to have people reach out to me because they saw me on the Zoom or on a few other Zooms that I asked questions on. And it was just kind of snowballed to where I then was able to talk to a lot of people that were reaching out to me because they had seen me and seen that. So it over, the year and a half or so, that's kind of how that has happened, because I'm naturally a little bit more introverted and don't love putting myself out there. So it was really sort of this, weird thing that I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what's happening now. Okay, we'll just do that. And now I love connecting with people. And I think it's amazing getting a chance to, whether it's like helping somebody with a question that they have, or seeing how we can do business together, or, just really kind of learning about other people when the time permits. I love that part of it now. And I really stumbled into it. So I think that's where our sort of initial paths in Subto and Gator were sort of different, because I was sort of stumbling into that on accident, and you kind of took a little bit more of a sort of lower key, muted sort of existence path. But now, I mean, I know, that that's so important. So how has that sort of changed now for you?
Yeah. So, it wasn't until I went to the mastermind 6 months after I joined that I really kind of got out of my own way in that. And that's the great thing about having a community. And, the thing that you did is, you heard about a Morby method and you went out there and told somebody about it and you didn't know how to do it, but what you did is knew that there was a community that could help you figure it out and stuff like that. And that's one of the great things about the community that's been built is all the resources are there, right? And so, when I went to the mastermind and started meeting people in person, and I think that's a huge thing. I love Subto, but, we are almost 12,000 people spread out across the entire US and some international people as well. And connecting on Zooms and connecting electronically, Facebook messages and things like that is not the same as connecting in person.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are super good at that. I do better in person than I do electronically. So for me, going to the events and meeting people in person, and I've met some amazing friends, some amazing partners, people that
Same.
I'm doing deals with now because I was able to get there in person and get to know them. And then it becomes not the idea of networking. It's the same thing, but it's more building friendships, right? I mean, networking
Yeah.
should always kind of be meeting people and making friendships and building those friendships and relationships. But when we say networking, it has this negative connotation to it. And to me, it became more making friends in person than it did networking. And that's
Yeah.
where kind of the change came and we were able to start getting some things done. That along with, the other things that we learn and we're able to experience in Subto with mindset work and meeting some very high level people that are doing some amazing things that will help you understand where they came from and what they struggled with and how they overcame it. And hearing those types of stories also helps you kind of get out of your own way and
Yeah.
change your mindset and start taking action and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I love that Subto provides as well, is those opportunities to have those experiences and to meet people who are doing amazing things, both people who are known and people you would have no idea are doing
Yeah.
these amazing things, both in and out
Yeah.
of the community. It's so great for that.
Pace really brings in just all of the people he's meeting in his daily life, and whether that, like you said, whether that's known people or unknown people, and just giving the community so many resources and so many people to just be able to not only network with but partner with, along with him and all these other people and the people in the community. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know you and I now have done so many things together, together and with other people,
Mm-hmm.
that we met through a Subto community camp event
Mm-hmm.
this summer. And so in person, Kalispell, Montana. Yeah.
Shout
So
out to
you were,
Justin Tumanowski for the shirt.
yeah, the Tombster. I don't know if that's his nickname, but
I guess it
it's
is now.
it's gonna be now. No, probably not. It's terrible. Who is also a really excellent gift giver. So Katie, his wifey, is very lucky. So
Yeah,
uh,
they're a great couple.
yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know where we're going with that, but
No, yeah, I think just the opportunities that Subto provides. I think it's one of the best parts. The network, the friendships, but the opportunities, everything that you need to figure out what to do is there. And it's not like it's easy. It is not easy. It's not like I said, it's not like there's deals waiting for you when you first sign up and they're like, okay, here's your membership packet, here's your Subto hat,
here's
and here's
20
your list of
deals.
87 deals, right? That's not how it works.
You got to put in some hard work and do
Yeah.
some, do some stuff. But I mean, the resources are all there, which is so amazing. And honestly, if you put in the work, I mean, we're not even the most successful people in Subto or Gator, and we're doing a lot there. So it's I would say I think it's really interesting to me. I love watching other people and see their growth, from when maybe they first get in, or maybe I first meet them, and kind of what they're, when I got in, I definitely didn't think that I would be running a business capital raising like I
Mhm.
am now. And I didn't think that I'd be, doing a bunch of other things. It's just like, I totally different than what I thought, when I was coming in.
Sure.
Um, yeah.
What are some struggles you've had with the community?
Um, Honestly, I don't really think, I mean, I've been really lucky. I mean, I've been kind of trying to rack my brain on some struggles. I mean, you know, there's like a few people that, I got connected with here or there that kind of have, negative sort of mindsets and things like that. And it's just kind of those sort of dalliances have sort of helped me figure out who I wanted to partner with and who I wanted to proceed with and who I didn't. So, I mean, nothing really like to me out of, there's definitely like some people who, there's always bad apples in everything that you do and things like that. And I think they're pretty good at getting people out that aren't, or the unsavory people, typically. But I think everyone's just trying to do their best. So I don't know if I have anything really like super negative. It might also be because I'm super into the cult, but but no, I mean, I'm serious. Like I kind of like, I look back and I'm like, there's not a whole lot, but I'm also the type of person that watched Dexter and really didn't have an issue with the very last episode. So I don't know. I'm just one of those.
That
people.
means you're a psychopath. If you like the last episode of Dexter, you obviously have issues and you need therapy. No, and I'm not saying negative with the program or with Pace or with the community, but we're flailing forward, right? I'm talking about learning opportunities, growth experiences. Like I have had issues, not with the community itself, right? But and this is kind of my learning opportunity. What I've found is that you have to put in the work. It's not easy, right? You may see all of the glitz and the glam and the good stuff up front. And when you come into the community, you've got to realize you have to put in work. Nobody's going to hand it to you. And the big wins get put out in social media. But what you don't see is the grind behind those big wins. And it's important to know, I think anytime somebody sells you on something being just all fluff and butterflies and all positive and no negatives, you need to be very careful of that and be very, very wary. And I just want people to know this is a real community with the same problems that you find in other communities. Now, what I like about it is I think they handle it better, right? I think the positive mindset and the positive outlook and the positivity that Pace portrays and wants in the community and has established in the community goes a long, long way. Like you said, they go really far as getting out like vetting and getting out bad apples and bad actors. But people should know you're going to find those wherever you go. It's up to you to do your due diligence. You have to also put in the work to make sure that you're putting yourself in the positions that you need to be in. So it's real life.
Yeah, it is real life. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, even that one deal that I talked about, the very first one that I kind of, was working on with, Pace and Pace's team that I had been I kind of put myself into, it didn't end up going anywhere. Unfortunately, it was a lot of work put in on my end and on everyone's end, their end too. And it just didn't end up, there were some things, the market had just changed. So, because of some sticking points that we had like initially and some like, it was hard to get, there was a couple things that were going on and we had to go back a couple times. And then it was like, by the time we actually got to the end, that was right when the market shifted, the interest rates went up, and then we couldn't get the DSCR loan that we needed at the, because the rates were different and it wasn't a deal anymore. So, I learned a lot from that. And I learned a lot, from just being able to go through the steps and just have, people by my side that were kind of, we were all working in tandem. There was two of us new people, and then Pace and Pace's team were kind of helping us with, paperwork and trying to figure out, the next step on everything. And so it was really such a learning experience. But I mean, that was a struggle. That was, I definitely got to the end and it was like 3 months later and I was like, why didn't this close? And I was, at the time I didn't have a job. I didn't have an active income coming in. I needed that deal. So I really that was a bummer for me, and to do all that work. But it could have, potentially like other people could have been like soured by it and just like quit. I personally was like, that was like the fuel. I was like, ooh, I got a taste of like how I love being creative. I love thinking of like you just really interesting ways to do stuff and like putting myself places and kind of just trying to, figure it out. And so that was really exciting to me. So I got a taste of it. And then after that, it was really like quickly that I was able to find, my niche with, really going into TC and Gator, where those are my two avatars, that I ended up going into at the time. And then eventually just going into Gator and doing, the lending side of things and kind of leaving TC to the side because I needed to just focus on one instead of two things. But yeah, I think every step that I took was important. And every step that I took, if you look at it like a learning experience and you look at it like a step, you're going to get a ton out of it. And then you're going to get to the next point and it's going to kind of lead you down the road. And before long, you figure it out, or as much as you need to figure out.
Yeah. I think the important thing is, Subto essentially is a family. And like any family, you have disagreements. Not every deal goes through. Not every deal is good. You don't always agree on the best way forward. But also like a family, you come together and you help each other and you love each other and you serve each other and you serve the greater community and you try and help out as much as you can, and you have some amazing experiences. And even though there might be disagreements, you handle them like a family and you figure it out, and you don't let that ruin relationships because we're all adults. And I think that's one of the greatest parts about it is there's all the resources there. And when things don't work out, that's okay, right? You can move on to the next one. And you have all the resources to help and to support. You've got, in fact, probably so many things. It's easy to get off kilter and get shiny object syndrome. And a lot of people complain that that's one of their issues with it, is there's too many things, right? And it's tongue in cheek. It's not an issue. It's amazing because that means there's a place for everyone, just like a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a place for the crazy uncle, and you have a place, right, for the brother you only see once in a blue moon. And you've got a place for everybody in Subto. Everybody has a niche and an avatar, and it's easy to get shiny object syndrome, but that's what makes it so all inclusive for everyone. You don't have to be a visionary. You don't have to be an integrator. You can be anything.
Yeah, everybody can carve a path and make money and build a business and do, everybody can do it. You just have to kind of put the steps in, put the reps in, and figure out what your place actually is. And don't get upset when you don't figure that out in the first 2 weeks, because that's not how life is.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get really lucky and they marry their high school sweetheart, and sometimes they're still single at 41 years old,
That's right. That's exactly
so I'm
it.
just saying, it's like the same thing. You just, you carve your path, you figure it out, and it's day to day.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I've learned from Subto is if you're not succeeding, you need to take a look at yourself and look at what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
If you have problems, if you have issues, if you're grumpy about something, take a look at yourself, or ask yourself, do an actual inventory with yourself and say, am I using the resources that are in this community? Am I doing the work? Am I tracking my KPIs? Am I putting in the time and the effort? And really ask yourself, am I taking advantage of everything that this community has to offer? Because I think a lot of the complaints and stuff that I hear, and that maybe we've had, or occasionally, because it's hard to get down on, or it's easy to get down on yourself sometimes, or to get down on the experience sometimes when you feel like you're not moving as fast as you would like.
Yeah.
But you have to ask yourself, is it, what is the cause behind it? And the majority of the times it starts with the person in the mirror, and changing your mindset. And taking and putting in the action and the steps, because when you do, there are so many brothers and sisters and crazy aunts and crazy uncles and grandparents out there ready to support you and help you move along. And it's incredible.
Yeah. And I think that is like, that's a great way, to think about it too, is like, look at yourself, be, self-aware, but then also it can be as simple as having a conversation with one person, and that can change the game. And it's just like, if you just look at it that way, if you're just lost, if you don't really even know what you're doing, just reach out, talk to people, tell them what you're doing, tell them what you're struggling with, see what they're struggling with, talk to them about what they're doing. And I guarantee you, if you do that with enough people, and you can even do that with one person a week, it doesn't even have to be that intensive. just do that. And don't even worry about what you're gonna do. It just like start talking to people. I guarantee you in a short amount of time, I'm sure you're going to end up figuring it out or seeing where you can, do something and figure out what you're supposed to be doing if you don't know. Because it can be as simple as that, just talking to other people, using the community in that way. And that's really where, if you're lost, if you're just unsure, or if you're having a hard time, or if you're not, not getting what you need out of it, just do that and don't even worry about anything else. And then eventually you're going to get what you need, and you're going to figure it out, because you're actually making some progress there.
Yeah. Bottom line for anybody watching this is, if you're looking for a quick and easy fix, Subto is not for you. Don't join it. Don't look into it. But if you're looking for a community, for a support group, for a family, for answers, for creativity, for creative thinking, if you're willing to put in effort, if you want to make some of the best friends you've ever made in your life, if you want to have opportunities that you wouldn't get anywhere else, to meet people, to learn things, to grow in ways that you never thought possible, if you're willing to take a look at yourself and work on your mindset and put in the time and the effort and be part of some of the most amazing events with the most amazing people you've ever thought of in your life, then Subto may be for you.
And I will also say, I know we were probably about to cut it there because it is 31 minutes, but I will also say one of the biggest things that I learned being on the inside is that Subto is not just a creative finance mentorship and community. It is so much more. I mean, I don't like, Pace talks about capital raising. He talks about flipping. He talks about wholesaling. He talks about mindset and entrepreneurship. Like, what else would you say? Would you throw in there? I mean, there's so many topics that literally anybody can learn, and it's not just creative finance with real estate.
I would say it's a creative thinking mentorship, not a creative finance mentorship. It will open your mind to thinking more creatively and problem solving in all aspects of your life, whether that's business, whether that's personal, whether that's at your current W-2 job like me, wherever you're at in your life. It is a creative thinking mentorship, and it opens you up to viewing things in different ways as a problem solver across the entire spectrum. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, drink the Kool-Aid, come on in. If it's something, you're interested in, we definitely would love to chat with you more. You can find me on Instagram at I am Heather Witzig. You can also comment in YouTube there at the same handle. We're both, definitely open to chatting with people about our experience and further detail. Where can they find you, Dustin?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram or YouTube at _Dustin J. It's right. Oh, I got to use the right hand. It's right there. On Facebook is Dustin Seiler. If you look in either of our bios, we have links to our link tree. You can reach out to us there and find out how to contact us through our link tree as well. Happy to talk to anybody that wants to learn more about Subto or has any questions about it. In the meantime, guys, it's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful opportunity. It took a lot of us flailing in order to get traction in it, but that's what life's all about: getting out there and taking action, moving forward, learning lessons. So until we come back with another podcast, get out there, flail a little bit, and move on down the road.
Smash that subscribe.
Smash that like and subscribe. I don't have sound effects. That's as best I got.
Hey, we'll pay for sound effects one day, right?
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.